Hello everyone, I'm Brian, and today I'm going to be reacting to Purposeful Living with Vedanta. This is going to be part 2, hopefully the last part. So let's go ahead and get started, so it will be the last part.
Rupam drishyam lochanam drik. Rupam means form and lochanam means eyes. Eyes are the drashta, forms are the drishya. And they must be separate. They are separate, we know. Then tad drishyam driktu manasam. The eyes or the sense organs, they become the known objects and the mind becomes the knower. They are separate, we know that. And then drishyadhivrittaya. The modifications of the mind, the thoughts, emotions, feelings, ideas, memories of the mind, they are known. Somebody knows them, something knows it, and that is called the witness. And it must be separate from the mind, because the knower and the known are separate. And the sakshi is never known. Sakshi is always unknown. Unknown in the sense that Swami Vivekananda says in one place, the Atman, your true nature, cannot be known as an object. It is not known as an object. You cannot know it as this, because then who would be the knower of that? So it is always the knower. But he says that you should not go away with the idea that you cannot know your true self. In fact, it is more than known. First it shines, and then everything else is known. In the Kathopanishad, there is a very famous line which Swami Vivekananda was fond of quoting. Tameva bhantam anubhati sarvam tasya bhasa sarvamidam vibhati. When that shines, that sakshi shines, everything else is illumined. Tasya bhasa sarvamidam vibhati. By its light, everything is illumined. That shining, everything else shines, and by its light, everything is illumined. It's a very beautiful verse, wonderful poetry. Na tatra suryo bhati, na chandra tarakam, nema vidruto bhanti kutoyam agni, tameva bhantam anubhati sarvam, tasya bhasa sarvamidam vibhati. There, in the highest spiritual state, in the sakshi, the sun cannot illumine this. Na tatra suryo bhati, na chandra tarakam, nor the moon, nor the stars. Not even lightning can illumine this. What to speak of this mere fire? But tameva bhantam anubhati sarvam, that shining, everything else shines, and by its light tasya bhasa sarvamidam vibhati, by its light everything is illumined. That is the Atman, that is the real nature of our real nature, what we are looking for, the true answer to who am I. It's the first stage. This is just the first stage. We have just begun, not yet Advaita. Okay, with me so far? Yeah? No, I've lost people. No, but it's actually pretty simple. Pretty simple. Now we go further.
I was thinking about that actually. I didn't really have a very strong argument for it though. But is your true self, the witness, dependent? I guess it can't be dependent on the outside influences through your eyes and your senses and through your mind. I'm trying to think of other things I've not experienced personally, but just seen on TVs and YouTube and stuff about how different people with different disabilities. I do believe they said there was a dog that was blind and deaf, and could you imagine if I've not heard of someone being blind and deaf, but could you imagine being born blind and deaf? It's a very scary thought. I don't know why I was thinking that. I don't know why I was thinking that with that. About your true self.
In the Gita, 13th chapter, Bhagavad Gita.
Depending on your inputs is for
chapter
your
13, verse
true
2.
self.
Sometimes it might be verse 1, because chapter 13 is a little strange that way. There is one shloka at the beginning of chapter 13 which is a question asked by Arjuna to Krishna. And that question is sometimes not there in some of the Gitas. Just Krishna's answer is there. So if you count that shloka, then there are 700 verses in the Gita. If you don't count that, there are 699 verses. Some people say it was inserted to make it 700. Anyhow, So in some Gitas you might find it as 13.1. In some verses, some Gitas you might find it as 13.2. The verse goes like this: Idam shariram kaunteya kshetramityabhidhiyate etadyo vetti kshetragyam tang prahu tadvidah. What does it mean? Krishna tells Arjuna, Idam shariram, this body, O Arjuna, this body is called the field, kshetram. Kshetram means field. And the one who knows this body from inside, one who knows this body is called the knower of the field, kshetrajna. Knower of the field. Okay? The person right now in your body, the one you know your body, you feel it from inside. You are called the knower of the field, and the body is called the field. Now, after having read that shloka from Drigdrishya Viveka, can you tell me the first principle is the knower and the known must be different? Correct. So you are all Vedantins now. So the kshetra and kshetrajna must be different. You are the kshetrajna. Your body is the kshetram. You are different from your body by the process which we discussed just now. And Sri Krishna says, Etadyo vetti kshetragyam tang prahu. The one who knows this body, this field, is called kshetrajna, knower of the field. See, why Krishna starts with the body is that this bottle is different from me. It does not take any Vedanta to tell me that. I know the bottle is different from me. It's different. But I am different from the body. This does not come easily. We sometimes say my body, and sometimes somebody asks you, what's your weight? And you say, I am 60 kilos or 80 kilos or 100 kilos. Now how can you, the consciousness, the Sakshi, be 100 kilos? What is 100 kilos is the body. So sometimes we act as if we are different from the body, we inhabit this body. Sometimes we say as if we are the body. So we do not actually easily distinguish between body and yourself. That's why Sri Krishna starts with the body. What you know must be different from you. I know the bottle, I see the bottle, I am different from the bottle, it's clear. But I know the body and I should be different from the body, I should be convinced about it, but I am not. I do behave in a way, I speak about my body as if it is I, and I behave in a way, you pinch me, and I say, oh, it hurts. I don't say, I am the knower of the pain. But it can be done. There was a disciple of Sri Ramakrishna, Swami Turiyanandaji. We saw it. I have seen myself in the lives of different monks. I'll tell you how they apply this. There was a disciple of Sri Ramakrishna, Swami Turiyanandaji. He was in Kashi when he was in his old age. And he had an operation to be performed on his finger. And it was very painful. And doctor said, I'm going to lance your wound there. Swamiji, we need to put anesthesia. And Swami Turiyanandaji, who was a great Jnani, he said, you don't need to do that. You operate. So, are you sure it's going to hurt? Hurt like H-E-L-L. So it's going to hurt. So you go ahead. And the doctor actually performed that operation without any anesthesia. And there's so many witnesses. This is recorded. And the Swami sat straight and with a smile, and he was absolutely relaxed. And he watched it being cut open and all. And the very interesting thing came next day, when the doctor came and he wanted to dress the wound. So without telling the Swami, he opened the wound and he started removing the bandage. And the Swami shouted, oh, what are you doing? The doctor said, yesterday we performed this operation. It was much more painful. Even this is painful, that's right. But that operation was so painful. And you did not react at all. And now you are shouting in pain. And the Swami said in Bengali, Bolbe to mon tatule nitam. You should have told me. I would have detached myself from it. What you would have done is this: treat the pain as an object. When a Jnani operates in the world, transacts with us, he identifies with the body and mind just like us and transacts with us. In Panchadashi it is there. When a Jnani says I, there are two meanings. When we say I, there is only one meaning. What is the meaning? I, this one. When a Jnani says I, there are two meanings. One is conventional, to deal with us. When he says I, it means this body and mind. But truly inside he knows I means the Sakshi, the consciousness which is witness of body and mind, which is different from body and mind. And they can do this. I have myself seen senior monks who can detach themselves from, absolutely detach themselves, treat it as an object. I saw this senior monk who had liver cancer, refused to take any treatment, absolutely conscious and happy till the very end. He said, I'm not the body. I don't let the body go. Its job is done. I have seen a monk who passed away a few years back. He was in his 80s, both legs paralyzed and blind in both eyes. You would expect such a person to be depressed. I never saw him depressed. Always happy. You go to him, he'll ask about your problems and he'll bless you and advise you and encourage you. Never talks about his own body or his miseries. Wonderful. I don't know how it's possible, but I think somewhere in this way maybe.
And that's sorry, but yeah, I've seen people who are quadriplegic. I believe they lose, I don't know how much of their arms and their legs, and I've thought about this. Like, if I was like that, could I? I mean, it's kind of weird to say that. It's kind of cowardice to say that you can't live on, or I guess you don't want to be a burden on someone else. But some people who are like this, who found a purpose in their life, meaning to their life, to help other people. And it's very strong of them to do that. But, I mean, I've seen some people who go through some tragedies and who come out stronger because of it. There are very strong people and who use that to help people out. And that's what the monk was doing.
But it requires practice and a kind of intuitive realization. Just because you've attended a class in IIT Kanpur on Drigdrishya Vivek and so now I can have operations without anesthesia, don't try it. You'll land in trouble. There was a Swami who did that, you know. There's a story about that. It goes like this. Swami was supposed to have an operation and he told the doctor, I have read Drigdrishya Viveka. I have gone through Vedanta and I am convinced about the truth. I am not the body, I am not the mind. I am the knower of the body and mind. And the knower and the known must be different. I am the witness. The doctor said, yes, 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 but what do you want me to do? You operate without anesthesia. Are you sure it's going to hurt? Yeah, pain is also an object. I can see pain as an object. The moment the doctor cut, the blade touched the skin, he shouted, oh, stop, stop, stop. Then the doctor said, what happened to your Vedanta? And then he said, I'll tell you in Hindi first. That's how he replied. वो साला किताब का बात किताब में रह गया. It means that stupid knowledge is in that stupid book. It's not in with me. And it's in the book level, at the level of book learning. It won't work if you don't have that intuitive realization. Just like you right now, you feel you are the body. I feel I am the body. You should actually feel I am the observer of the body. Then only this works. Okay. But in a much smaller scale, it does work. I have myself experienced. You can also try it. Anytime you feel a little down and out, you feel a little miserable, or there are minor pains, not an operation, you can try it. That I am an observer. Because I know it. I am miserable. I know this misery. I know this depression. Because I know it, I must be separate from it. If you hold on to that thought, you will actually see that thing lessening, declining, and sort of going away. It works. Anyhow, that is just at our level. Okay, we are running out of time. I need to speed this up. So far we know, Gita, when Bhagavan says, you are the Kshetrajna, this corresponds to the Sakshi of Drigdrishya Viveka, the Kshetrajna. You have understood that? I think you've got it, because the Sakshi is the knower, the Kshetrajna here is the knower. Now, there are two questions. Now we are going to the next stage. There are two questions here. What are the two questions? If I am a consciousness in this body, the question is, in each body is there a separate consciousness? I am Sakshi of this body.
To me, my answer to that would be yes. That seems obvious. Because I cannot see your thoughts, feel your feelings. I cannot control your body. I see no link between you and me. We are separate, even if I were to say I can separate myself from the body. Well, maybe. I don't know. I don't know if that experience that I had was considered a separation or not. But just because, again, we're struggling with the idea that I am the body, I am the mind, that I am who I am is separate from who you are, and that separation is just very obvious. But we'll see what he says.
I'm the consciousness which watches the mind and the organs and this body, and through the body I can see all of you. So is there a sakshi, a separate sakshi in each of you? That's question number 1. Question number 2, we speak about God, Ishvara or God. Where is God? Drig or Drishya, knower or known. There are 2 categories. You have divided the entire universe into 2 categories. I am the knower, and by my consciousness everything is illumined, whatever I know. So where do you put God? On this side, Drig, or in the Drishya? When God becomes an object of knowledge then, or on the other side, Drig, I. So there are 2 questions. Question number 1, how many sakshis are there in each body? Human bodies, non-human bodies. Is there one sakshi, separate sakshis, or is it one? And number 2, where do you put God? Where does God come into all of this?
Assuming I just answer this question, I'll say there's a separate one for each one. I don't know why you would consider God at all. Well, if there was, and to answer his question, just to see where it goes, I would say it'd be within us. It wouldn't be, God would not be the known, it'd be the knower, based on understanding of God.
And in the next shloka, very powerful shloka, 13.3 in some verses, some versions of Gita, and 13.2 in other versions, Sri Krishna answers this question, both of these questions in one stunning line. The line is this: Kshetragyam chapi mang vidhi sarva kshetreshu bharata. He says, it's thrilling, know me, I as God, Krishna as God, as the avatar of God. I, God, am the Kshetragya, this one, in all bodies. In all bodies, I am the knower, the Sakshi, the Kshetragya. God says, I am the knower in all of us. In fact, the true I, which we isolated by Rupam Drishyam Lochanam Drik, Tad Drishyam Driktu Manasam, Drishyadhi Vrittaya Sakshi Drige Vanatu Drishyate, by that Kshetra Kshetragyam Vibhaga, the I, the consciousness, the witness which we isolated there. God says, I am that, God is that. And that is one in all bodies, not separate. What is separate are the bodies, the memories, the mind, the memories and personalities. These are separate. Bodies are obviously separate. Minds are separate. But that consciousness illumining all of this is one, and that is God. The immediate corollary, the stunning corollary is, you are God. Chandogya Upanishad, the ultimate conclusion of Vedanta, Tattvamasi. This is from Chandogya Upanishad, chapter 6, very famous. What does it mean? That, Tat means that, Tvam means you or thou, Asi, art. Tat, that. That means God. Thou means the individual, you, the individual. But you are God in what sense? Not as Mr. So-and-so or Mrs. So-and-so or Swami Sarva Priyananda. Not even as the mind, but as the witness of body and mind. That is God. That is the Vedantic idea of God. Pure consciousness shining in all bodies and minds.
Yeah, that's I guess the notion of God, and at least from me and probably most of Western society, is that God is God, not you, not even, well, I don't know if any Western religion believes that God is in you. I may have heard some people say that, but I don't know. I don't think they mean it in this way though at all. But yeah, so whenever that you are God, it's really odd, at least because of my understanding of God. But whenever he said was it the Hindu or Vedanta way, then it makes sense. I suppose that means it's a different understanding of God for me, at least, not my previous knowledge of God.
It is not sectarian. It's nothing to do with belief.
Yeah.
You can actually discover it. Tattvamasi, that thou art. In Chandogya Upanishad, there is a student called Shvetaketu, and his father teaches him this. It's like he has come back from a good school, like IIT. And the story goes like this: he goes to learn and he comes back and he's very proud. He's got this big degree, and my old father, what does he know? This is kind of attitude. It says that in the Upanishad actually. And then the father sees this boy has become proud, and he asks the boy, did they teach you in your school that by knowing which you can know everything? And the boy says, no, there's no such subject. You need to know particular subjects to know particular things. Is there anything by knowing which you can know everything? I don't think it's possible. And then the father tells him, it goes through a long process, not the process we have followed, is a different process. There are so many such processes in Vedanta. It's a different process. And where is God? And that was answered by Krishna, saying that the same consciousness is shining through all bodies and minds, and that is God, that is what you are. This is the second stage. So what you really are at the back of your body and mind, the witness of your body and mind, is at that level, you are absolutely, all of us are one. Not similar, not of the same type, not of the same kind. We are actually one person. This entire universe, we are actually one person, literally identical. Not even uniting. Uniting means two things come together. But identity means there is only one. There's one reality shining through all these bodies and minds. Even this is not Advaita. Advaita means non-duality. We have duality here. There's one consciousness shining through all bodies and minds, but there are so many minds, bodies, and this entire vast universe. Everything is there. So the third stage and the final stage in this lecture is that all these bodies and minds, this entire universe, is supposed to be a projection of that consciousness. So you have one consciousness, and from that consciousness you have, this is called Atman or Sakshi, and that is shining through so many bodies and minds. It may be a human being, it may be a dog, pardon my drawing, and it may be so many
Better than my drawing.
things. And there's one consciousness shining through all of that.
What about inanimate objects, though? I'm assuming only. What about plants too, as well? Are they part of this consciousness? Inanimate objects and plants, because so far he's talking about, well, meat suits, I guess you could say, viruses too, as well. Is that included, or is that something different?
And when it shines through the mind here, it says, I am Mr. X. When it shines through the mind here, this person says, I am Mrs. Y. And it feels, I am this dog belonging to Mr. X and Y. But this is one consciousness. We are all one here. And at the third stage, you say, this consciousness alone projects this entire universe of all beings. These are not outside that consciousness. In consciousness, in Atman, all these are seen. Like example, this is a claim. An example would be your dream. In your dream, maybe you see you are in an exam and there's a question paper in front of you and you can't, this must be a common dream in IIT Kanpur. You can't answer the questions and you've forgotten the answers, and grading will be a problem, and what will happen, what my parents are going to say about my grades, and you suddenly wake up sweating. Oh, it was only a dream. Now what happened? In the dream, you were there was an exam hall, there were other students, there was a question paper, and there was everything was there. All of that was nothing different from your mind in the dream. So the people in your dream were your mind. The question paper in the dream was your mind, and you yourself were there in a body in your dream, and there you were scared and you were sweating and trembling, and all that was in your mind. All that was nothing other than mind. And if you actually investigated in the dream, if somebody came and told you, don't be afraid, you are dreaming, all this is your mind only. You say, where is my mind? If you try to scratch the table in front of you, tear up the question paper, you won't find the mind in the dream. But when you wake up, it's true. Your mind was projecting all this. This is an example. I'm not saying we are dreaming, but the idea is, in Vedanta, that consciousness is projecting all this. I'll give you a beautiful shloka from Shankaracharya's Dakshinamurti Stotram, and then we'll go on to the last part of the presentation. The verse goes like this, very beautiful. Vishwam darpana drishyamana nagari tulyam nijantargatam pashyannatmani bahiriva udbhutam yatha nidraya. He says the entire universe is like a city seen in a mirror. Vishwam darpana drishyamana nagari tulyam. You can follow simple Sanskrit. Nagari, city. Tulyam, similar. Vishwam, universe. Darpana, mirror. The entire universe is like a city seen in a mirror. And I like this very much because as a kid I had this experience, not the entire universe. We were coming in a vehicle on a highway. It was dark and we were coming into the city. And as a kid, I still remember, it struck me so much. In the mirror in the car, we could actually see the lights of the city. The whole city you could see shining, the lights in the mirror of the car. Because it was dark and we were on the highway. You can see the whole city in a mirror. You put a mirror here, I can see the whole classroom in the mirror. And he says, this entire universe is like that. And what is the mirror? Your consciousness is the mirror. Your consciousness right now. The entire universe, we think, I am here and this world is out there. But what he is saying is, you are consciousness. And in your consciousness is this body, this mind, and all these things also. Vishwam darpana drishyamana nagari tulyam bahiriva udbhutam. You think it's outside. Just like he says, yatha nidraya, swapnaya. As in a dream. In a dream you think there is a world and I am in that world and so many experiences are there. When you wake up from the dream, you find it was all in your head. The entire world you conjured up in the dream was in your head. Similarly, the entire universe just now is a projection in your consciousness. So you are, in one sense, the entire universe as consciousness. You are God, and God is projecting this entire universe within himself or itself. Because in Vedanta you don't say him or her, you say it, tat. Now we'll just conclude with, now this will make sense to you. I'll read out portions. You will see it makes wonderful sense now. Page 1, these are selections from Swami Vivekananda's complete works. In volume 2 there's a lecture called Practical Vedanta. What a Vedantin, a follower of Vedanta, what he feels like, his attitude towards the world. Now you can understand. See, the whole universe is one person. Okay? You understand in what sense now? Let go the little things, give up the small for the infinite, give up small enjoyments for infinite bliss. It is all yours, for the infinite, impersonal includes the personal. So God is personal and impersonal at the same time. And man, the infinite impersonal man, is manifesting himself as a person. It makes sense to you? This infinite Satchidananda consciousness manifesting as a person, as many persons. We, the infinite, have limited ourselves as it were into small parts. The Vedanta says infinity is our true nature, this one. It will never vanish, it will abide forever. But we are limiting ourselves by our karma, which like a chain around our necks has dragged us into this limitation. Break that chain and be free. Trample law under your feet. There's no law in human nature. There's no destiny, no fate. There is destiny and fate, law of karma as far as this body is concerned. This body which you are inhabiting now, according to Hinduism, it is governed by karma, by your past karma. It is what your experiences you are having in this body depends on your karma. But as pure consciousness, the witness of all this, you are not bound by karma.
I was about to say, he was saying that you in the quote he was saying that you're not bound by karma or law, but yet then he just said that you are bound by karma and law, but that's based on your body as opposed to your consciousness. Okay, I was about to pause and say, but wait, isn't there that belief of karma there?
Then a few lines later on, be free and then have any number of personalities you like. Then we will play like the actor who comes upon the stage and plays the part of a beggar. Contrast him with the actual beggar walking in the streets. The scene is perhaps the same in both cases. The words are perhaps the same, but yet what difference? The one enjoys his beggary while the other is suffering misery from it. See, even after all this Vedanta, you are still this body. Right now you are limited to this. But when you know your true nature, now you are not limited, you don't define yourself by this body. First of all, you feel a tremendous unity with everybody. You feel a tremendous unity with everybody. There is no fear anymore. And people will sense that in you. People sense that this person feels oneness. I have seen so many times with advanced spiritual sadhakas, the monks, people immediately feel so close. They open up and tell them things which they could have never told anybody else. It's just like telling yourself. They feel one with that person. It automatically happens. People will sense that in you. And there is no misery anymore, because you are not limited by the sufferings and miseries of one body. So little later, so long as we have no knowledge of our real natures, we are beggars, jostled about by every force in nature and made slaves of by everything in nature. We cry all over the world for help, but help never comes to us. We cry to imaginary beings and yet it never comes. Okay. Little later. Why should you hope? At the bottom of the page. You have everything. Nay. Very important. You are everything. You understand in what sense you are everything? In this sense alone. What are you hoping for? If a king goes mad and runs about trying to find the king of his country, he will never find him because he is the king himself. He may go through every village and city in his own country, seeking in every house, weeping and wailing, but he will never find him because he is the king himself. It is better that we know we are God and give up this fool's search after him. And knowing that we are God, we become happy and contented. Give up all these mad pursuits, and then it does not mean that you give up all these mad pursuits so you put on Gerua and become Swami so and so. Not necessary. You play your part in the universe. You're a student, you are a student. And there was a king, Janaka, well known in Indian mythology. So he was a realized person. He had got this realization, Advaita Jnana. And he remained as a king. He did his administration. He did all the work. But he was completely, he was in his enlightenment, in his true nature. This very world becomes heaven, which was formerly hell. To the eyes of the bound, it is a tremendous place of torment, but to the eyes of the free, it is quite otherwise. This one life is the universal life. Heavens and all those places are here. All the gods are here, so on and so forth. Little later. When we have become free, we need not go mad and throw up society and rush off to die in the forest or cave. We shall remain where we were. Only we shall understand the whole thing. The same phenomena will remain, but with a new meaning. We do not know the world yet. It is only through freedom that we see what it is and understand its nature. So this law or fate or destiny is only an infinitesimal part of our nature. It was only one side. On the other side, there was freedom all the time. We did not know this, and that is why we have been trying to save ourselves from evil by hiding our faces in the ground like the hunted hare. Through delusion, we have been trying to forget our nature, yet could not. It was always calling to us, and all our search after God or gods or external freedom was a search after our real nature. The reason why you are here today, the reason why you read spiritual books, you go to this Swami or that Swami, to this religion or that religion, you do good works, you do meditation, you try this and that, everything that you are trying to get happiness is actually you're chasing this, which is already within you. It's a call which is there permanently within us.
Okay, maybe. I don't know why I said maybe, but I guess because maybe some Abrahamic religions don't really point it that way. But I guess it's our desires to do that is the reason why it's within us, but we're being pointed into a really bad direction, a wrong direction. Instead of directing it within you, that you have it within you, that you are that, religion is pointing at externally, not within you.
Within ourselves is this eternal voice speaking of eternal freedom. Its music is eternally going on. Part of this music of the soul has become the earth, the law, this universe, but it was always ours and always will be. In one word, the ideal of Vedanta is to know man as he really is. What is he? This one. It's Atman as consciousness. And this is its message, that if you cannot worship your brother man, the manifested God, how can you worship a God who is unmanifest? This, I'll conclude with this point. Now when you look at people, an animal, a human being, anybody whom you formerly thought of as your friend, as your enemy, as your rival, all of them are none other than this God. Kshetragyam chapi mang viddhi sarva kshetreshu bharata. I, the Lord, whom humanity worships as God, am in all beings. That which is Father in heaven is in all beings also. Exactly the same God. So when you find a person, it's veritably God appearing in the form of that person. What is your attitude towards God? You worship. You don't have to worship a person with, you do arti to a person and put a mala. You don't do that. If a patient comes to you, a sick man, you worship with medicine and help. If an ignorant person he comes, you worship with education. Anybody else who comes, you worship with love, with affection, with respect. Because you see the spiritual reality behind each person. Summing up, I remember. I reached the end. I'll just sum up in 1 minute our whole journey. What we have done today. First, purpose of life. Traditional thought says what human beings want are 4 in number. Kama, pleasures. Artha, power, wealth, success in life. And dharma, morality, doing good to others, expanding beyond yourself. And moksha, spirituality, enlightenment. These are the 4 pursuits of human life. Just look at any human being in the world. These are the 4 pursuits. In some people, one is more than the other. Modern psychology, Seligman, he says happiness comes from pleasures, sense pleasures, very little of that. More than that, it comes from engagement in some career, job, hobby, something. And more than that, it comes from meaning in life. So you should try to have pleasure, engagement and meaning in life that makes you happy. And that corresponds, as I said, to kama, artha and dharma. But beyond all this, Vedanta says there is spirituality, there is enlightenment, search for moksha, nirvana, whatever. What is that? The next stage of the talk was this. That comes from knowing what you are. What am I? The principle we take up, operating principle. The knower and the known must be different. So the knower is the drig and the known is the drishya. And then I used one shloka from Drig Drishya Viveka, which says it takes you step by step. What you see is drishya, the eyes are the seer. The conditions of the eye, they become the drishya, mind is the seer. They are different. Whatever is happening in your mind, happiness, sadness, knowledge, ignorance, all these things, memories, personality, everything in your mind, those are known. So the knower of the mind must be different from the mind. And you are the knower of the mind, called the sakshi or the witness. And that must be consciousness because it's of the nature of knowledge. All the time you are aware. It must be different from your mind. Because the knower and the known are different. Then you go to the next stage of the talk, where Krishna says, the one who knows this body is the kshetrajya, is the knower. If you know, then it must be different. Body must be different from you. Question is, how many such sakshis are there? In all these bodies, different sakshis. And what about God in all this? And the next stage of the talk is where Sri Krishna says, Kshetragyam chapi mang vidhi sarva kshetreshu bharata. I, God, am the knower in all bodies. I am the consciousness shining through all minds and bodies.
My only question to that is why the deal with why should there be a God in all of this though? Is it a requirement? I guess it's a way of explaining Atman. But maybe it's just my how I understand God. Again, it keeps going back to that, and God in his sense of what he's talking about is just something completely different. I gotta remember that.
So the consciousness which we identified as our true nature is God.
Yeah, there you go.
It's not a part of God. It's God itself. There are no parts there. It's the entirety. You're God in entirety. There's no part and whole there. And that is shining through all bodies and minds. Last stage is, what about all these bodies and minds? They are all projections of that consciousness. They are not separate from that consciousness. So veritably, when you are dealing with this entire universe, you are dealing with God, who is none other than yourself. You can say, Aham Brahmasmi, I am God. Or you can say, Sarvam Khalvidam Brahman. All of this is Brahman. All of this is consciousness. It is God itself. You can say, it's a table, it's appearing, but what is appearing as table? The wood. So what don't you say when you touch the table, do you say touch table or touch wood?
You can say both.
Wood. Similarly, when you contact this universe,
shape.
People, things in this universe, they appear as people, they appear as things, in reality they are consciousness or God. Swami Vivekananda says, never approach anything except as God. It's a spiritual practice. Never approach anything except as God. The people you come into contact with, teachers, students, parents, relatives, people in general, you approach them as God. Things happening in your life, good and bad, health and sickness, success and failure, as God. Things in your mind, memories, thoughts, happiness, sadness, as God. You do that. That's a spiritual practice. And we saw certain sections from Swami Vivekananda's Practical Vedanta, where he talks about this culmination of Advaitic knowledge, where everything inside and outside is awash, is drowned in God. Aurobindo, I remember a beautiful line from Aurobindo. The world drowned in the white glare of an immortal gaze. Beautiful, stunning, it's the world drowned in the white glare of an immortal gaze. That is consciousness, which is appearing, which is sort of flooding the world. Thank you very much.
Why God created this confusion? God is enlightened, why I am not?
Yes. The answer given by Vedanta is, put all your efforts into coming out of this ignorance. If you ask why ignorance, there's no answer to that. You see, the ultimate truth here is God alone exists. God is appearing as all this. These are appearances. So God alone exists. Now, if you say that does not satisfy me, why all this is going on? Why am I in suffering? Why all this problem is there? The real answer will be it's not there. God alone is there. I mean, if you from the point of view of the Jivan Mukta, from the Jnani's point of view, if you ask a Jnani, is there any problem? He says, no, there's no problem. It's God shining forth in these ways. But we are not satisfied by that. We want an answer. So he said, okay, if you want an answer, it's like this. You are suffering like this. You are in this particular body and in ignorance, and all these experiences are happening to you. Why? Because of your karma. In past lives you did such and you get this result. Oh, why did that past life happen? Because of the karma of earlier lives. Why did that life happen? Because of the karma of earlier lives. And then the next question will be, no, first life kya hua? How did it begin? And they say there is no answer to that. Anadi, beginningless, an infinite series. This is not satisfying. I'm not satisfied by this. It's like you are running in a jungle, a tiger is chasing you. And you climb up on a tree and you're shivering, the tiger is sitting below. And somebody comes wearing a geru and says, See, my man, you say, Swamiji, why am I suffering? And you climb up on a tree because tiger will eat you. And that Swami says that, my man, you are not suffering, it's a dream. You wake up from the dream. There's no tiger, there's no tree, you are not in a forest, this is not even your body, the whole thing is imagined by you. You are on the tree, you are shivering, you can see the tiger sitting there. You say, what? Bakwas, this is nonsense. He's a tiger. Terrible, I'm scared. And you're saying there's no tiger. Then that Swami tells you, okay, tough case. So, right. Then let me tell you, you are suffering like this because of your past karma. And this tiger has come as a result of your sins, and so on and so forth. Gives you an explanation. You wait till morning, tiger will go away, then you climb down from the tree, and so on and so forth. Now all of that is a provisional explanation. It's not a real explanation. The real explanation is that nothing is there, you wake up. You can't wake up, then some explanation is given. In Advaita Vedanta it says all these explanations of lives and human beings and the world and karma and all provisional. If you can't wake up, Swami Vivekananda says in one of his poems, wake up from this dream, let all dreams cease, let vision cease. Or if you cannot, then dream but better dreams, which are eternal love and service free. Very beautiful, he says, let all vision cease. Stop all this, wake up into reality. I can't. I can listen to classes, it sounds nice, but I can't. Then he says, then dream but better dreams. If you want to dream, then dream better dreams. Have a good life. Don't chase this karma and artha. You do all that, but you live a wider life in the knowledge that you are God. In that sense, it's appearing. For some reason, this is all appearing. You hold on to that and live a life like that. The answer is this. The final answer. I can give you lots of theories. Suppose you ask, what's the traditional answer? Why God created the universe? I'll give you the Hindu answer to that. Answer is very simple. God has created this universe not to make us suffer. He's created this universe for our benefit. How am I benefited? Said because you have done lots of karmas in your past life and you need to get the result of those karmas. All the good work that you have done, you get. The law is, karma is of two types. Punya and Papa. Punya means merit. Papa means sin. So when you do something good, you get sukham or happiness. Sukham. In Sanskrit, sukham. And when you do something bad, you get dukkham. And usually it's a mixture. And the idea is, every cause must have an effect. If you have done certain things, you must get the result. Na bhuktam kshiyate karma. There is a law that without experiencing the results, karma is not lost. So you must experience the results. To experience the results of so many lives, you need another body. You need a world in which you will get experiences, both good and bad, happy and sad. And that's why God has created. Cricket field. God is like the director of the institute. He has created the cricket field. Now children want to play there. So you're given bats and balls. Somebody is the batsman, somebody is the bowler, and you have these players. Go and play. That's one explanation. God has created this universe for our benefit, out of His grace. And slowly you work towards liberation or spiritual realization and moksha. Many people find that okay. Those of a devotional nature, the answer given to them is God has created this universe out of His Leela. This is a play of God. Bhakti. So they find that satisfactory. But Advaita says, all of this is provisional. The reality is only one, Satchidananda, existence, consciousness, bliss, is shining forth in these manifold ways. One more? One more? Yeah.
So the consciousness is flowing through us, like consciousness is
shining through us, and you are this consciousness.
Okay, so is it affecting our action?
Yeah.
Is it only watching or is it affecting?
See, at one level it is the one which is watching. First stage. The last stage we saw, it is everything. In fact, it is not only the watcher, but the first operating principle we had, the knower and the known are different. Now have you noticed? I have abandoned that principle. The knower has become everything.
Yeah, I somehow missed that one.
Known is also the knower. The drashta is also the drishya.
So there's no difference.
I am not only different from all the entire universe, but at the third level, I become the entire universe. There is only one reality. So it not only watches, it enables the entire drama to take place. I'll end with a story from a Swami whom I met. He's passed away now, Ramananda Saraswati. He was in Haridwar and he passed away a few years back. Enlightened soul, I believe so. And he told us this story. He said, imagine there's a village and a boy who has not seen a movie, a cinema, though it might be difficult these days, but suppose there is such a person who has not seen a cinema. And his father says, I'll show you a cinema. I'll go take you to Kanpur and there's a cinema hall, I'll show you what is a cinema. And on the way he tells the boy, there's a big screen like this and there is light projected on the screen and there are so many things which happen on the screen. And that is a cinema, a film. And they reach the hall, this movie theater. This is important. When the movie has already started. It's a dark hall, they go and sit, it started. And they watch this. And there's a battlefield of Mahabharata and war is going on and so many things. And the boy is enthralled. After some time the boy asks the father, Father, you said there is a screen on which everything takes place. Which is the screen? And the father whispers, there it is in front of you. So, oh, that Krishna and Arjuna on the chariot, that is the screen. No, not that. Behind it, the battlefield. That is the screen. No, behind the battlefield. The sky. No, behind the sky. Behind the sky.
Oh, okay. That's the kid asking.
So I mean it's nothing. No. I mean all of it. Oh, you mean the screen is the battlefield and Krishna and Arjuna and all the arrows and the fight and the battleground and the sky all together is called the screen. No. Behind all of that, you remove all of that. So nothing. Screen is nothing. Now how will the father explain? Because whatever he points to is very important and very profound. Whatever he points to is a picture. It is the screen, but there is a picture covering the screen. And the tendency of the boy is to mistake the picture for the screen because he does not recognize the screen. What will happen when the movie stops for the interval? The lights come on and the boy sees the screen and he said, oh, okay, this is the screen.
Yeah, I was going to say, just wait till the film's over with and then you'll see the screen. I didn't want to be a smart ass about it, but he said it.
I understand now. And then again the movie starts. Now the boy has no confusion. He knows on that screen everything is being projected. It is the background of all the experiences. It enables all the experiences. It gives substance to all the experiences. But it is unaffected by the experiences. There may be a flood in the movie. There may be fire in the movie. The screen does not become wet, nor is it burnt. Nothing happens to the screen. Now that's just a screen, a jada, inert screen. But you are consciousness. You are the screen in which you project the drama of the entire universe, your lives and the entire thing. That is what's happening. And the jnani, when he's in the midst of all this, when he sees this body and mind, when he sees you also, all of this he sees, and the happiness and sadness, all these experiences, in all of this he recognizes the screen. We don't. That's the difference. We don't recognize the screen. That is the difference. He told us once, somebody told him about X-ray. He says X-ray penetrates the skin, the clothes in the skin, and goes to, and it can show you the bones. And this old Swami was so happy. He said, Mahatma ki drishti aisi honi chahiye. He says, a jnani, a person of realization, should have this kind of a vision. Not an X-ray vision like Superman. It's like you understand the reality behind everything. You see what everybody else is seeing, but you have the knowledge of the background reality all the time. Thank you very much. We conclude here. Thank you.
Okay, I had a few things to say, but I forgot it because I waited a little too long. But let me see if I can try to remember anything before I let this go on too long. Well, there's one thing I kind of want to do now. I kind of want to ask some of my coworkers about who they are really. And say, oh, I'm me. I'm this body. It's like, so if I were to remove the finger, would you say that I was removing you? He's like, no, you're removing my finger. I want to try asking that just to see what kind of reply I would get. I wonder if I can get them to think about that. I haven't yet, but I gotta find a way to formulate the questions appropriately so that I can ask the right ones without fumbling too much. Alright, I'm trying to still remember some of the things I wanted to say about this, but I can't quite remember. So I guess I'll just end it right here before it goes too long. That's my, well, the final reaction to Purposeful Living with Vedanta. If you like my content, please consider subscribing. Thumbs up, thumbs down below. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next vid.